Yeah, yeah, drinking dope, turn me to.
But what I wanted to get at is the tempo of things. So I don't really know the wording of what I'm trying to go for here. Just hear me out. So first time getting to this area of supply. So what is an area of supply, everybody? What does supply mean? What is a range of supply? A supply zone? I don't care how you guys call it. What is an area of supply? Sellers, yes. A seller-controlled area. It's where sellers should and will be heavily present. So what needs to be done to invalidate a seller-controlled area, right? How do you turn a resistance into a support? You have to break it. You have to hold over it. You got to move off of it. So what kind of retest are we all aware of? We got short-term retest. We got mid-term retest. And we got full retest. We know what the full retest is. That one's so easy, right? That's where they go up and they come all the way back down to the level they broke out. They hold it and they continue on. What's the short-term retest? A lot of the time, you end up... Now, this is a bad example because you can see they failed here, but a great candle example, though, on what a single candle will look like when you want to see a short-term retest. That's sometimes not the favorable one to take because it's hard to catch, right? And what's that mid-term retest? That's where we use that fib, right? We pull out from our first 40% entry breakout. If it can hold a certain percentage of our fib, then we can get in for a potential entry, and that's our midterm entry. Something that didn't pull all the way back, it just held a good portion of the initial breakout. Another great favorable setup to find for, right? So to break resistance, or supply in this case, and turn it as support or demand in this case, what needs to be done? A retest, right? So what kind of retest do you think needs to happen on the first one? Which of those retests sounds like the strongest one? Hear me out. Which of those retests sounds like the strongest one? The short term, the midterm, or that full retest? Just think about it like this for a second. Let me type these out so we can stay on track here. I want y'all to think about it like this. I haven't ever thought about breaking it down like this. So you got... We're all still good. We're all still up to date. You guys are getting this up to this point. Talking about supply. All I've talked about is demand. Then we talked about how you turn one into another. What are those retests? What are the three types of retests we know in here? We're all still up to date. We're all still good with me. We're all still here where I am. We're all good. I can keep going. We understand what short-term retests are. We understand what mid-term retests are. We understand what full retests are. If you don't, please go back a few moments. I was just breaking them down example by example. What is the strongest retest out of the three? Short-term, mid-term, or the full? What would you think is the strongest? Just answer. Even if you're wrong, it's okay. I'm going to give you the right answer afterwards anyway. It's okay. Full retest. Exactly. Teresa got it. Teresa wins. Steve got it as well. A full retest, right? That makes sense to me. That's the strongest one. So if this is the first time that price is going to break and close over, is this what we're looking for? No. Right? We need to be looking for a more full retest, or maybe even a midterm retest. That would even be feasible, right? Because it's at least showing more strength, right? So if we're going to see something break over a supply that hasn't broken yet, that hasn't broken, closed over, had a good hold of support, and then broken over, then we know that's not it. So we see the short-term retest failed, right? We didn't get another breakout here, so that wasn't a retest at all. What happened here? Broke out. They touched where we broke out. They pulled back up. They held. So let's go from that candle then. Let's go from point of the breakout. which I'll just grab it from here because I can't really see over here, to the point of where we hit the high and slowed down. So it wasn't a midterm retest because they did close under. But what did they not break? The blue area. The thing that we were literally looking at this morning to not break. If this could not break, then we knew that sellers still had control. If buyers could get over it and not break below, then we knew buyers had control. That was the basics of today's game plan. Right? So let's zoom on up. So it makes sense then that they would use one of the two stronger ones to get through the first time, right? That makes sense. Because on the first time, if you get a single candle retest, is it really fair for you to sit there and say, I have such confidence in this moving higher because of a single candle retest? No, you need to be seeing a more stronger show of hands by the bulls to really get you into that chart, to really get you into that opportunity. I think we can all agree on that. It's nice to be more confident in a trade that you like more. Right? Are all still with me? So that's how you turn supply into demand, demand into supply, vice versa, support resistance, vice versa. These are how you should think about these things. So let's move on to the next breakout, right? They break this next level. Here, let me do this. Let me zoom out. Okay, we're still pushing new highs while I'm trying to break this down. So no problems there. So now that we've already gotten our bullish breakout, right? The tempo has now changed, right? When we were back here, we didn't know who had control. Didn't know who had control, started realizing who finally had control, who finally stepped in, right? We saw sellers keep control. They kept control here, but didn't have the follow through to take it lower. Buyers took it up. Buyers held it. Buyers took it up, right? Now that's where we are in the story for today. So if we're already in bullish control, let's think logically. Do we need these two retests to pop up every time we break through a level? Or can we start to understand that these will start to pop up more because we're already in bullish control, right? Does that make sense to everybody so far? So it makes sense that we had the stronger retest here, but not necessarily as much so as we go higher because we understand the tempo has changed. Here, we were still kind of fighting, deciding. Here, we already knew who was decided. So is it really fair to say we're going to see as many red candles or see as many retests because of that? No. That all makes sense. We're all past that now, right? All right, so next one. Let me remove these so we can be a little easier to see. So next one. Let me zoom over here. So continuation, blah, blah, blah. Bulls still have control. Bulls still have control. They didn't even bother for retesting either this breakout or this breakout. Finally, over 441.75, we see people, whether it's taking profits in a mixture of people picking up shorts, it does not matter. You finally see a small cool down in price finally, right? You kind of saw it here, but every single time they turned it green, held it higher. Held it higher, turned it green, right? Then you got an even more massive pump completely destroying that next area of supply that was supposed to be supply, right? This was supposed to be the next area of supply where sellers were supposed to be present, but why weren't they? Because we were already in bullish control from the first breakout. So you don't need that to happen every single time. It wasn't the first time it happened today, right? We get up to the next part. What do we have? They break 441.75. All right, well, let's go from that level to the high of the move before that slowdown. What kind of retest is this? After me explaining all three types, who can tell me which type of retest is this? Is this a short-term retest, a mid-term retest, or a full retest? It's a good little trick question here because you could say it's two of them. I'll accept any of these two answers. Either way, though, it points in the exact direction of what I'm talking about, though. Realizing the tempo, understanding what kind of retest that are going to most likely happen because of that tempo. Back down here, we were deciding, so you need stronger retest. Up here, we're not deciding so much, so we don't need as strong of retest. So which retest example is this? Short-term, mid-term, or full? Teresa said short. Steve said mid-term. Chef said short. David said short. I will accept both of those answers because they're both correct. It is a single candle retest leading into a second that bounces, right? So it has a mixture of attributes from short-term retest, but at the same time, it did in fact pull down enough from the breakout. Again, the breakout wasn't that big from the recent level, right? And it held the golden pocket and the control point zone, the area in which we combine those two, right? So it also has some attributes from the midterm retest. But you could see what I'm talking about is lining up in between these two pretty much. Just like earlier when we were looking at the one down here. I'll just keep this unzoomed. it was kind of between these two, right? So we knew that we had a stronger retest, but now we're looking at this, we realize we have a weaker retest. So is it fair to say that this has to continue breaking higher after realizing the tempo is slowing down just based on realizing the types of retests you have as we are breaking higher? No, it's not. But good answers, everybody. I wanted to go over that with y'all, and regardless of y'all being correct or wrong, that didn't really matter to me. I wanted you to try. Thank you guys for trying. Thank you guys for answering back if you were. I do appreciate that. Hopefully a lot of that makes sense. Hopefully that helps you navigate the charts a little more. In my head, I kind of think about that a lot. I feel like that was the first time I've said that out loud, like, in that sense. You know, I definitely go over this stuff all the time, but in a sense of, like, order, though, I feel like that's a good, like, kind of like order of operations. You know, like in math, you learn PEMDAS and all that stuff. Again, which order of what to do what. It's the same thing for this. You know, it's you see, oh, we have a really strong retest. All right, well, it's clearly because we haven't broken out yet. Oh, we broke out. We got the good retest. All right, we're continuing higher. Broke through another resistance. Broke through another resistance. Oh, here's a retest. It's a short-term retest. All right, well, I can tell from the tempo, from us going from a stronger retest to a not as strong retest, that the tempo has slowed down a little bit. So it's just good to know that. But I hope you guys enjoyed that breakdown. I'm going to go back to just looking at, you know, whatever you guys want to look at.